Hi, and thank you for joining us with the Complete Water Systems. What we are going to share with you is our proof of process or some examples. I've worked a lot in the States and in Canada with the military, 18 and a half years in banking, and Missouri is the show me state. So they always say, great, show us proof of the process or give us examples. So that's what we wanted to do here. Um, some is our exclusive proprietary technology. Some is with our partners. But that's the benefit is you've got all the experience from all of our top partners in this process. So that's what we want to share. Some examples that I think is very helpful because this is what got me hooked by seeing this over a decade and a half ago. I was in the military for 18 and a half years, banking for a decade as well. So we're blending the financing, the military aspect of stuff, and humanitarian, having backup redundancies and specialists. So that's what we're going to be doing and explaining in this proof of process. So case study number one and the installation procedure. So this is a case study and the installation and how it happened, because a lot of people are always curious what happens or give us an example or two or three. And that's what we've done here. We may break this down, this video, and we hope you've seen the introduction already. You should have already watched, and hopefully you have the Complete Water System intro or how there's partnerships. So this is more of a follow-on due diligence and research. And we can always provide you technological drawings or get you with connected with all of the smart people we have, the doctors and the PhDs, the professors, the engineers to go into all those details as well. So the installation procedure. The following is a presentation example of a partnership installation of a complete water system in a box or a container. So we say box because they're always in a box on purpose or a container because it's fully tested. It's modularized so it can be moved and not easily. And we'll explain that when you see this video. But it's modularized and complete because in the military, sometimes when things were shipped, you're waiting for this sea container or that piece or this, which can be very costly, especially internationally when you're missing one piece. And how do you source that? You can't just go down the road and get it. So that's why it's a full container. It's a full containerized system, or as we call it, the complete water system, fully tested, fully secured, and guaranteed on site because we know it's basically sealed before being shipped. And we're actually there for delivery and installation, which is quite key with our partners. So this one is for a construction and bulk water site. Note, they used our suggestion, and this is what I was proud of, where I'm saying, well, why are you wasting this water, the excess water? It's still decent water. They said, well, we don't want to drink it. I said, great, use it for flushing. Or better yet, sell it to the local farmers there. And now they actually use it a lot. They use it for their own garden. They use it for their own agriculture. And it's actually more than paid for the system, even just with their quote unquote wastewater that we gave them a creative idea or solution to, because that's what I love doing is adding value, even though we made nothing on it. That doesn't matter. Just we've seen so many systems, we can make a difference, okay? Capacity of this one was 300 cubic meter a day. That's 300 cubic liters, for those of you who know, and producing potable water of a TDS or total dissolved solids of less than 500 parts per million. Now, there is a lot of acronyms. We've tried to take this all out, but this is recommended by the World Health Organization as drinking water, potable drinking bottled water has to have less than 500 parts per million of total dissolved solids. The feed water source is clean seawater from a seawater well, and we'll explain that too. And that was the approximate was around 36,000 parts per million. So ocean seawater, the salinity most places around the world is the same. If you're an engineer, again, we're doing this as more of an educational video. For the engineering, we'll get you our PhDs and engineers and project managers to speak to you on that. We're doing this as an example that we can do it from a seawater. And what we mean by seawater well is it was a borehole or something we created just beside the ocean sea so that we don't get any critters or any sort of waste that goes into our water source. But it was right from the sea, and we were fortunate in this installation that it was by the sea in a remote area. So this is our system. And as you can see from this, it can be branded or not. We always prefer branding, but that's just my background, right? So if you are in the business of the water business, you can have some branding on this. They didn't, and you'll see why for their solution. But it is a fully modularized, and this is a 20-foot sea container. And as you can see, there's an input for water. There's an output for water that goes into a cistern. And there's another output for the wastewater that still could be good. That could be used for farming, or it can be a separate system, because when it's seawater, you normally have to have a double reverse osmosis system or double membrane. So we have that. I'm going to get a little technical here. These are supposed to be lighter videos for educational, but normally we have it where there's a natural sand filtration. When you've been at an actual beach, you dig down, and what do you normally get? You can get water, and that's what we do. Or you can have it where there's multiple containers that filter before you get into the system. But the installation site was prepared by a local contractor. We love using locals. Why? It creates jobs. They know the area the best. They know the regulations. With a power supply. So we didn't have to do a generator, although you can see some generators in the background. They decided to have a local power supply. They did have their own backup generators. Normally, we always suggest that because we don't want your water system to go down. The connections are here to the feed water or the source water. And the product was a water reservoir and a brine disposal injection as well, okay? And that was to actually deal with the excess brine salt water that came out. Because we have to meet or exceed the local water restrictions and guidelines, because we want to have a zero carbon footprint. We're a very green technology. So that's what we've done. So stage one, the water was forced through a pre-established filter in the sand. So we had a pre-established sand filtration that was at the actual ocean site. Or you can also do a basic sand filtration if you are not close to a site that is. Sometimes it's a shale or a rock, or it's just not available. Because we want to make sure it's pre-filtered before getting into our systems. This will make the filtration last longer. They'll make the whole system last longer, and it's a great piece to make it last. Our systems are designed to last 10, 15, 20 years. So the water enters the filtration through a sediment pre-filtration. And again, it goes from a higher to lower, so a thicker, heavier, or larger filtration to a smaller, so we filter it out. This removes all small particles, bacteria, cysts, spores, grains of sand. So actually, as it goes, as you can see here, it cycles back through each side, top to bottom. We do that before it gets into the main membrane system, which is very expensive, and the main process that does the heavy lifting. And that's our stage two. Stage three, the reverse osmosis. Again, there's many technologies that are out there with membranes. We do use the best. Some people say, well, this is cheaper. Why don't we do that? We prefer to use the best that's been tested all over the world. And we've got preferred pricing. So the pricing is very minuscule difference. And also, they've got an excellent warranty with Dow FilmTech membranes. Or if not, we'll always explain, normally by our brilliant engineers, PhDs, and doctors. They'll explain why they chose that for your project. And that's why it's very important that we do get a proper water sample, knowing where the water source is and what you want is deliverable. How do you want your water? So reverse osmosis, with it being seawater, it will be a double pass. So we'll go through twice. So it forces the water through a semi-permeable membrane, which retains the contaminants. So the contaminants, the salt and the particles actually stick to it, and allows for the pure water to go through. That's the stage three of the system. Now here it is our actual system, and sorry for it's a bit blurry, but we have to normally email these out. We'll give you all high-res versions of what a system specific to you. This is a close-up view of the plant with the capacity of 300 cubic meters a day. And this site, with the energy costs and where it was creating high quality potable water they could drink for 70 cents per cubic meter. Now this varies depending on where you are, but as you can see, that's very, very competitive. One of the great things too is that's the high quality potable water. As we mentioned earlier, with the solution is the excess water, the brine, of course, we had to dispose of and do it properly via the local standards, and we always exceed that. But before the second pass, there's a first pass of water, and that excess was still drinkable or be used for agricultural or gray water. So we actually were able to show them how to use that excess water for farming, for potability, to go through flushing toilets or cooking. And that's where our creative side can save you lots of money. As well, they on this plant had the financing. We were able to help them secure better financing by explaining the system. So although they didn't do financing with us, we showed them how to package it and do it with their own financing. They had strong enough financials themselves to do that. And again, we're partners, so of course we're going to try and do that. And actually, their financing was still a little bit more than ours, but they preferred to do it locally, all in-house, domestically, and their bank preferred it as well, who had a major lien on their whole property. So they kept it internal. We provided some great financial solutions. And as you can see, this was their solution. So this is the inside view of the system that we actually have. This particular unit is a 10,000 gallon per day seawater distillation. You can see the filters here. So it's pre-filtered. We always have a UV, and we also have an ozonation as well for when it's drinking water. So there's many levels of filtration using RO pre-filtration as well. And this plant was installed at another island resort that we did too. But we wanted to show that one so it doesn't always have to be so large as the other one. We can go as small as 10 or 20,000 gallons per day. So that was the end of our first case study. We hope that you are able to watch the second video, more case studies that we can take it from there.